Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're still on the Polity, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja, and I'm Messi Babajide. And now joining me are two, of course, important guests. To my right, we have Duke Alamboye, of course, a comrade. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. Once more,
it's good to see you once again.
It's a pleasure.
It looks like the weather is treating you nice. But before we get into weather and the economy is treating you nice, to my left, we have Gideon Obande, President Ocheto Akidoma Youth Wing. I hope I pronounced that well. Welcome to the program, Gideon.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
Very well.
And now, gentlemen, how is the economy treating you? I would like to ask that question.
Well, it's fairly. We started right from the pronouncement of first subsidy. That was sometime in February,
Okay.
and we've been on it. It's like a child that just came out from the womb. Of course, we're adapting to the weather, to the situation, everything we adapted. And that is one peculiarity of Nigerian, a typical Nigerian. We're adapting seriously, and it's getting tougher as we move.
How about you,
The only
Gideon?
challenge is that despite our adaptation, our accounts are not adapted.
So adapting without the accounts, everything is not safe.
It's not in sync at all.
Okay, all right. Our viewers at home, let's get into today's business properly. We'll be analyzing NLC's decision and the implication of a strike, if a strike happens. Well, the Nigerian Labour Congress has told Nigerians to expect total impact when it finally declares its proposed strike. Now, members of the Nigerian Labour Congress across 36 states, of course, I don't know if that is excluding FCT and the Federal Capital Territory, okay, and the National Executive Council, have concluded arrangements to meet today. They met around 10 a.m. with a view to deciding on whether to declare a total shutdown of the economy. Now, this meeting is in response to the perceived lethargy of the government, as the NLC has accused the federal government of delaying the negotiations on post-subsidy palliatives for workers 4 months after the removal of fuel subsidy, which is compounding the hardships in the country. Now, ahead of the meeting, state chapters of the NLC had said they were ready to mobilize their members for full participation in the NEC declared, and in case the NEC declared indefinite strike by midnight today. And now, my first question goes to, well, the gentleman in the studio with me. I'm going to ask, the last strike that happened, the warning strike, that's the one that happened for 2 days. We saw where we had, let's start with PHCN shutting down, AEDC, the Abuja branch. Of course, we didn't have light. I don't know if you had light at your end for 2 days. And now, what does this mean? Do you think the proposed indefinite strike would solve the standing problems in the country or make it worse?
Okay, Messi, it's technical. You know, I want to put the situation into perspective.
Okay.
And firstly, let me consider the side of national interest.
Okay.
And then what we as a people suffer, and then what are supposed to be, or what's supposed to be the functionality of government presently. Now, as for national interest, I would want to say that the economy is already snow diving. Nothing much good is happening in the economy. So shutting down the economy is going to be very unfortunate at this time. Every business is trying to strive to rise.
Okay.
with side by side the issues, the difficulties in running businesses now today. So when nobody is thinking about even shutting down for a day, you know what that means. That is for even the private sector. The public sector have its own peculiarities too. And everybody is trying to put hands together to see how things can reverberate in our country. So we understand completely the issues of the NLC is still pro citizens. You understand? But I personally do not like the instrument of strike. I believe that discussions can still be going on as much as it can. Tactically, what I think, in my opinion, is that the present government, is not coming out to tell Nigerians that there are no much funds to run government. They are having internal issues. Just the majority of the president is shading so many things away. The palliative measures they put on ground for to psych out little of the stress of Nigerians. We've seen where monies have been appropriated to governors, and we perceive that some governors have begun to even set up committees. Some have even begun to even start, sharing the palliatives in their various states. So this will also take place. Then there are other statements there are other agreements NLC had with government officials, mostly the ministry and federal government, which have not come to play. I think it was segmented into immediate, mid-term and long-term solutions. So I think these are the angles the NLC is being bothered. Even the immediate one that they've sent to state government, we're not having the impact. We're having issues of even who should be a beneficiary to this palliative in their various states, down to the LG levels. Come to the midterms again. It is true, very fact that government have not even started anything to do. Last time I listened to the NLC president, I heard him when he was saying that he had even approached this local vehicle, what's his name, Innocent Motors, who promised to subsidize in a very minimal cost for federal government to bring in about how many thousands of vehicles to aid movements of civil servants and workers generally in the country. And when he was asked, government has not even done any form of negotiation. They've not even called him to. So I think these are one of the issues, or part of the issues that is making NLC to feel that government have begun to start playing their normal ways of being dormant after discussions, not making any move. But if you check out the sensibility of this government and what they want to do, and what the president is positioning himself to convince Nigerians that actually he wants to bring this country out of where it was, you will understand that it's not that they are docile, it's not that they are not wanting to bring people back into actions. I think that there's something wrong in the economy. I think that there's something the present government are lacking that they do not want to say because of the transition. It's party to party. Where it was APC, PDP that took up government and they are not doing this, you would have heard that there's no money in the treasury. So I think this is what is happening. And the NLC is seriously frowning at it. They must be sincere to the people. They must be sincere to NLC in the discussion so that NLC can be well positioned to know the real situation of what is going on in the country. Not to say bring a whole NLC to discussion, make lots of promises, valuable promises that are NLC that we know is beginning. People are beginning to perceive NLC as a dog with a dog that cannot bite. But that is not the situation. NLC had put itself in a position where they are also understanding that the government is a process thing. So, but if this process is not moving from stage A to B and so on and so forth, it calls for anger. And I bet you, I don't really want the government to allow NLC to embark on this strike. It will tell drastically on the economy. The economy is not really stable. People, like I rightly started, people are working hard, assiduously hard to earn. People are striving. Companies are striving to ensure that they meet up daily income. So when you strike, like you rightly said, this last time they even did the testing strike. Even NEPA went on strike, and everywhere in the country, everybody was put into darkness. Sometimes, if you don't want to be patriotic, you begin to think, let us even try this thing, and then let's see where this rich man would run to in this country. So this is the situation at hand, and I want to see that within this period, NLC should be called for a better negotiation there. Okay,
over to you, Gideon.
Well, unlike my comrade, I believe that striking, it's very important. Very important because you agree with me that the reputation of the NLC in the last 8 years, right, has not really spoken well for Nigerians. Nigerians have lost the confidence they used to have in the NLC. And so, you will agree with me that when you tell Nigerians NLC, I was speaking with some persons a few days ago, and the person told me the last time I had NLC was when...
cash scarcity?
No, they said it was when Oshomola was NLC.
Yes.
Now, of course, Umar Wahid, who came after Oshomola, would have, but he didn't stay in office for a length of time. So people have easily forgotten that the issue of the downstream oil sector,
regulations,
were struggles that Umar Wahid did lead. Now, people are more conversant with Ayuba Waba-led administration, and they know them for one thing. They will go into negotiation at the end of the day.
And compromise.
They will compromise. So, the Joe Ajero-led NLC have understood the body language of Nigerians and understand that Nigerians are watching to see whether they are also going to trail the existing pattern that was before they came into into being. So the warning strike was testing the microphone to tell Nigerians that, hey, we are back. There's a new sheriff in town. Now, moving to the strike they are proposing, I will tell you unequivocally that it's going to have immense impact on our economy. Immense. We're already complaining that our coffers are dry, okay? It's going to make it get drier than it is already, right? But this is it. Why shouldn't they go on the strike? There is this thing about commitment to your words when given, all right? If there is no money to back up these decisions, what have been the moves to show that in the nearest tomorrow there will be money? Nigerians are not seeing it. It is not saying that the Tinubu-led government is not doing anything. No. I can tell you that he has scored some points. For me, I actually didn't vote for him. I didn't support him, for my reasons. But he has, cleared my doubt in a lot of areas. Okay? Dubai used to be the Nigerian business link hub. At some point, we were cut off Dubai totally. Right? He has restored it. Okay?
But rumor has it that that's not totally true because, we saw some news outlets interviewed this.
Diplomatic processes are not overnight. Yeah. When the discussions are done verbally, it has to be put
implemented,
on document. Okay, the regularization of this document is not a one-day thing. Okay, so the way Nigerians expect that, we can now go to Dubai and then the next day people are flying to Dubai. No, it doesn't work like that. These are diplomatic issues we're discussing about. Okay. Now, move on. Look at security. Look at disappointments in the security sector. I personally was wowed by it. There was this balance. The balance we had not seen in the last 8 years, we saw it. Okay? We saw we had a policeman as the NSA. We have always had the military, and let's say we've not been getting the result. Okay, let's try another person. And there is a tryout there, okay? So he has taken some steps. But you see, Nigerians need more. The reason is because they've been too patient over time. And so anxiety is bottled up inside.
Yes, so there's too much expectations.
There must be too many actions to convince them that it's not business as usual. Okay? So what are these too many actions? It is now. If there's any time to borrow money, it is now. Don't go and start borrowing money when government is about ending. Borrow it now. So that we know that, one, you are trying to stabilize the economy. Two, you are trying to rejig the economy. There are so many aspects of our economy that have been lying docile over time. Okay? The solid mineral sector have been lying docile over time. Nothing has been done. Okay? Now, we are here shouting subsidy has been removed. Expenditure for every Nigerian has at least doubled. Okay? So, what Nigerians want to see is you taking decisions that will reflect on their day-to-day life. They want to see it.
But do you think that is feasible given the current economy? I mean, like you said, something apart from being diplomatic, a miracle would not happen overnight. It's going to take process. But then are Nigerians even patient enough to actually fit into that process when we've had, of course, the president himself saying we should endure? And then Nigerians have, of course, replied with, if we are going to endure, are we just enduring alone, or the politicians are equally taking the endurance themselves?
Okay, let me answer you. Right. Now, Nigerians are very patient species of people. What we have gone through, and this nation has remained Nigeria, I can bet you that no African nation will go through it and still remain.
I agree with you.
Look at our neighbors all around, coups everywhere. They've not gone quarter of what we've gone through. And it's burning already. For Nigerians, show them what they can see. Okay? Ajaokuta still has picked up. Just still, something is being done. Arewa Textile, something is being done.
Yeah.
They will now say, okay, there is hope. Okay, let's just be patient a while. It will pick up. That's Nigerians for you. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, the next thing, you are talking salaries, you are saying, okay, because of what we have perceived, we have taken some loans, okay, we are going to pay back in so time. Yes, this loans is to ensure that for the next 24 months, we are able to render support to state governments to be able to make increment and also pay the increment. So that within this period, state government will also put out internal modalities for their IGR to scale so that they can begin to buffer from there. Now, when you orchestrate these processes and not just orchestrate it verbally, you make sure that instrumentality of the law is generated to back it up, so that the confidence of the average Nigerian right now is in the Constitution.
Yes.
Okay? So raise the instrumentality of the law as through the executive bill format to back these decisions. Then the average Nigerian I know, like myself, will now say, okay, we've been patient for the last 16 years, we've been patient for the last 20 years, and nothing has been done. Okay, since this has been done, and this is what we've been expecting, okay, we can be patient for another 1-2 years. This will get better.
Yeah.
That's the Nigerian for you.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah.
So give them proofs. Let them see. They are tired of hearing. In the last 2 decades, and they've been hearing. Now, let's move from hearing to seeing.
But do you think this strike is going to fix that? Because now, if the economy goes on the standstill, there's no point, or there is no possible way the government is going to say, oh, even if they've been fixing some things before, there is going to be a total shutdown.
No,
I mean, it looks like what happened the last time is just the tip of the iceberg, if you ask me.
It is.
I think to add up to what he's saying and related to your question, it's sad that is the language the government understands. It's sad. Like he gave a scenario that I was also painting. If we have a discussion and we have an agreement, on our agreement we have items, and I see that the items are actually voluminous and bogus. However, when I come back to look at the level of agreement I have with you, I have seen that block has been laid. I have seen that there are workers on site, not yet working, but there are workers on site. I have seen that there is something to stimulate the economy. In that case, you may not be having NLC grouping themselves again to say they want to have a strike. The the members of NLC are Nigerians.
Yes.
When we sound NLC, we think that it is a human being. They are Nigerians that go through the daily sufferings. They are Nigerians that suffer mostly what is happening because they are compelled. They have the daily obligations, going to work, coming back. They must purchase. In fact, they stimulate the economy far than anybody you can think about. So if this set of people that gets the direct effect of what is happening in the economy do not take drastic action, who then will take the action? They are the people that suffer even low income rates in the country.
Yeah.
Everything, prices and demands of goods and services had gone high. Salaries are still stable. You earn 120,000 naira. You could fuel your tank before. In just months ago, you could fuel your tank with 20,000 naira and enjoy yourself. Today, 20,000 naira is for 2 days, 3 days. That's if you're driving. If you're not driving, you're paid hell to wherever you work. My problem is, I am not satisfying strike as an instrument for negotiation. But it's saddened again that in Nigeria, that is the only language the government understands. Like you rightly said, that is also the only hope of the common man, that when things they shut down, government will be forced to move from step 1 to step 2.
Speaking of demand,
so is not rhyming. It's not helping us. I'm worried anytime I see the NLC leadership come on air to talk. I'm always scared, and that is because the common man does not understand what it also means to shut down the economy. That is also have an adverse effect. But again, the Buddhists, the rulers do not suffer what we're suffering. Even though they are suffering, they can afford. Affordability is one thing again. At their level, they can afford. At 80% of Nigerians cannot afford presently what is happening.
You are being careful with that.
98%.
You understand?
19%.
So,
okay,
so
all right. I like that angle you came from, because now
Yes.
you made the foundation of you made an agreement with someone, and then the person
Yes.
delivers subsequently on something. Well, Simon Lalong, one of the ministers, of course, in
Yes.
this particular sector, said he was able to achieve one of the things they said they want, which is to release the detained members of the NURTW, which he feels is one step moving forward. Do you actually think that is
How
one
does
step
that?
moving forward?
We are talking about stimulants. We are talking about eradicating the present suffering. Look, Nigerians embraced all 4, 5, 6, 18 presidential candidates in their manifestos, in their promise to Nigerians, said that subsidy is a cankerworm. Subsidy is a devil to the economy. It is streamlined by few individuals in our country to enrich themselves. The pictures, the data, everything was correct. But what wasn't correct was, what are the implementations levels, such that you don't strike the conscience of Nigerians to suffer. Even if that was going to happen, at what rate, at what extent, you can say, Nigerians, we're giving you 6 months, we're giving you 1 year. This will be adverse in our daily activities, in our income. But for A, B, C, D, like you rightly also said, backing it up with legislation, that within this, in way of loan, in way of stimulating SMEs, in the way of helping businesses to grow, in the way of even changing the nomenclature of work. I've forgotten the country. There are some countries that people work at home. They only within 5 days, they only go to work 2 days. So there are so many things the government can do. While we were growing, we saw levels of transportations. If you can enter the government vehicles, you can afford. If you can enter the private ones, you can afford. There are levels you can. If you want to take a drop, today all those things are gone. Why are state government, why are federal government not looking at that direction, that is to be a midterm or an immediate solution? So if these menial measures are taken. I laughed when they said they want to pay people 33,000 naira per month. And I was just coming out from a seminar last week, and somebody is telling me that, do I know what 3,000 naira means to a local man? I asked the man, what are the daily activities of that local man? Where does he go?
Where does this stay?
Where does he stay? We are talking about people that stimulate the economy. You are talking about a dependent.
That's the right word for
So this is where the thing is ridiculous. Even though it saddens me that strike is not my instrument. Strike is not what I believe in. It is becoming too inevitable that everybody is saying that the strike should hold. You can see that no state is rejecting the call. Everybody is like hands on deck. This government must sit down. And it's a pity. We saw Tinubu's zeal. We saw his ambition. He's very ambitious and all of that. To me, I saw him in the UN and seeking for external business. I see we have a lot internally to do.
But don't you think that's even a major problem? Because some persons have said it's a major red flag, because it means that the federal government is hiding a lot that we people do not know about. Because if you are going to international body, it's one thing for you to say, come and invest in the country. But it's another thing for you to move from countries to countries seeking for investment.
You can also do that. Let me tell you, Messi, you can also do that. See, you don't go and call an architect that you want to build a house. You're not even ready to pay for even the drawing. Let me not even say you've not gotten a land. The basic thing that before you even call an architect to post a structure for you, he will dwell on a land. So that is what we are doing ridiculously. We've not put, nothing is happening. Our security architecture is down, economy is down, everything is down. So those people you are calling, it's just, let me just not go into.
Well, the U.S. Secretary, he said, I think 2 weeks ago, he said we have to fight corruption before we actually.
It's ridiculous. That's what I'm telling you. He was even saying that the president has not even left the country.
What corruption are we talking about? See, let me tell you this. Okay, we should stop. We are responsible as to why they always tag us as a corrupt nation. Okay. One of the biggest scams that ever happened in Nigeria was Halliburton. Now Nigerians, let me speak pidgin English. Now Nigerians do them. Why are we always allowing them to give us a name that is not our name? Are we as corrupt as they are? Is there any corruption that is more than the slave trade? Is there any corruption that is higher than the brain drain going on? What are we talking about? The colonization happening in the 21st century that you can see the Francophone nations rebelling against. Okay. Is there any corruption that is worse than that? Let's call a spade a spade. Listen, this is not rocket science, okay? Right now, we are on red. We can't jump from red to green. We must go from red to yellow. And we can't move from red to yellow until we do certain things.
Internally. Yes.
Internally.
I agree with you.
Will is very important as an instrument of conviction on the masses. When you finish speaking, show the will, political will to do what you have said.
Exactly.
It will give them the grace and the fuel to keep their hopes alive. That is what Nigerians need right now. Outside that, I want to tell you that NLC is just giving Nigerians what they are looking for.
Because I like the fact that you mentioned that NLC is giving Nigerians what they're looking for, because now it looks like that's the last resort
yes.
to facing the federal government and now to find solutions to better the economy.
Yeah.
But then this result has implications. Are we actually ready? And then what do you think these implications are, if I may ask?
Well, I will tell you one thing. Of course, our IGR is going to drop, because for any day this strike goes on, hundreds of billions transactions are halted, okay? So the IGR of our country is going to drop, one major thing, which is something that shouldn't happen right now because we are on red, okay? But you see, it has to happen. Why? Because when that happens, we feel the impact and the government also feels the impact. And that is why the strike is an option. What else happens this period? Well, the worker is not going to go to work for this period, so the 1 naira, 2 naira that he has left in his account, that is going to, he will use that one and be surviving until government is ready to answer. Okay. Sorry, just to add, the government should not try to say no work, no pay. This is not it. This is not the time to shout no work, no pay. I'm telling them ahead because I have studied the Nigerian labor struggle, and I know the answers of government at the back of my hand. The next thing they will say, okay, no work, no pay. State governments especially should not try to say they want to frustrate this strike. If they know that the strike is not good at their level, the governors forum should carry themselves. Bulk of them are fresh people. They should go and sit with Mr. President and tell Mr. President that we appreciate your zeal and all. We think that you should take so step, we will back you. We have not heard governors speak since this government started.
I was going to say that too. We've not even heard the Ministry of Information give Nigerians real, genuine information about what they are doing necessarily towards stated agreements with NLC. Look, if you don't talk to the people, the last time I heard was the president making a speech. That is not all. People want to see daily updates. Thank you. That's the right word. Daily updates on what is happening. To stay abreast with, should NLC actually go on this strike? People, like rightly said, are hands open to receive NLC for the strike because the other party is not even saying anything. The Minister of Labor is not talking to Nigerians. Minister of Information that is supposed to tell us proceedings, daily happenings in government, and also saying anything. So leaving NLC to be the watchdog, whether NLC is even correct in their pursuits, nobody knows. So you see, it's an open ticket for Nigerians to lash in. But again, I always want to end up to say that the resultant effect of going on strike at this moment will not only tell on government. I don't even want to see it happen. I just want to believe that after now, myself and my friend will hear that NLC and government have come to another compromise.
And speaking
because
of
the strike have become also a disadvantage tool. Strike is supposed to put fear in a process, but Nigerian government are so hardened that they even want the strike to happen. And I can tell you internally, when strike happens, there are some people that even benefit from it in government. If not, I see no reason why ministers could not come up to today, less than 24 hours now, and let's say we'll be sending signals for the strike. I see no reason the president is not in town or something. The ministers, none of them, neither the labor minister nor the information minister, had not come on air to inform Nigerians that, look, there is no need for this strike. In a month's time, in 3 months' time, this is what we've put on ground. Like you rightly said, no information, lacuna everywhere. They are waiting for the president to do everything.
But speaking about no information, some more landlord guards come out to say, oh, they should be patient. Now, it brings me to my next question. Do you actually think him addressing, and before I made mention of him saying, oh, he had started with releasing, of course, detainees.
I'm trying to avoid this thing. You are bringing it back. What does detainees have to do with our suffering?
That was what he said, that, oh, it's one step at a time, at least. So now, some persons have said, don't you think it's impatient for you to say, oh, you gave them ultimatum of 21 days and it ends today? Why not give them a longer period of time? Some persons are saying, oh, maybe NLC is political.
Mercy, I'm saying the same thing. I use the word ambiguous, an ambiguous agreement. I and you had gone into an agreement. Seamlessly is ambiguous. And then I came back to see that A, B, C, D is ongoing.
It's ongoing.
For goodness sake, I'm human. There will be that space for discussion for either another negotiation. And NLC would have stood a better ground to tell Nigerians that since government are not being able to say what they are doing, okay, what is the measures that they release detainees? How does that stimulate? That is the government is positioned to please NLC's conscience, not Nigerians. What they've actually given monies to, they have approved some billions to state governors. The governors have also started. Is the minister, can he capable in his capacity give information that state A is doing this, state B is doing this? Where are those monitoring executors that will say, come to Nigerians to say that, look, we'll send social thing to social quarters, these are the resultant effects, we are doing this, and this is what there's the process. This is the lacuna that is created for NLC to be saying that, for goodness sake, nothing is done. NLC gave you 21 days. Within 21 days, we never saw even 1 day, 2, 3, 4 days, government addressing the nation on progression. That is the issue. So if they are doing anything, we don't know. NLC do not know. They've not called them to intimidate them. I heard the NLC president saying that there's a joint committee.
Yes,
that are supposed to sit to this process. Anytime they went to the meeting, the government officials are nowhere to be found. So these are the issues. Unfortunately, these are the issues.
Can we call a spade a spade?
Okay.
For an arrest to be done, it took a phone call. And for the people who were arrested by a phone call to be released, it took 21 days. Does it make any sense? For me to get arrested, it took you a phone call. But for me to be released, you used 21 days. Does it show you are serious? That is just the case of what's playing before us. Of all the demands that were made, it's just to release people that you could do with the same phone call that you took them there, that you achieved. It shows that you are not ready to do anything. No? And you see, I am angry with the fact that the man seated there is somebody I respect. Respect because he was a Speaker of the House, became a governor. So I believe that he's familiar with these processes and these interactions. So I expect better. Now I'm getting angry because I expect that you should be used to negotiations now. I want to believe part of the reasons why maybe a pure labor person, because in the entire government, I don't know anybody that is from a crude labor background that I could have said, okay, that should be the best person for the office of the Minister of Labor. But I think one of the reasons why the president in his wisdom gave it to, put a former governor there is because he believes that even though you are not a core labor person, you should have had the background of negotiation as a governor. So you should leverage on that experience to be able to engage labor. But he's disappointing us. It should not fall the hands of a North Central. It should wake up and do something reasonable. It should wake
Now,
up.
shots fired.
It should wake up.
It should wake up. And then now brings me to federal government themselves, because of course Simola Long is representing the federal government. Could there be any reason? Because now I like your own analysis of 21 days to release detainees. Is there something you think is going on? And now I'm going to make this analysis intertwined, because now we've seen fuel, the pump price has not passed 617 naira. Meanwhile, the marketers are complaining about how much they, of course, purchase these goods. But then it looks like behind the scenes, something is going on. So what is actually happening with the federal government?
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do we agree that subsidy has been removed?
Well, we sort of.
Because I read that in August, subsidy was paid now. Is it only me who read it? Or, Oga, you didn't read it?
I was, yes, it came as a rumor.
It came as a rumor, exactly. We can't verify
No,
it.
we can't verify. But you know, in Nigeria, when something is rumored, they are pointing a hand at something.
If they pay subsidy, which legislation went to the, I still see it as rumor, because for subsidy to be paid, it has its processes. It's not just something the president will just sign to go and pay. So
Well, let me just want to believe that it's one of those ones they have not paid that they paid.
They paid.
So it's an old subsidy. Let me just, let me just assume. But back to the question. Let
Okay.
me ask you a candid question. What is the landing price of these products right now? Do you know it? What we are exporting, how many fractions of it after the distillation process is coming back? Do you have a record of it? Do you even have a record of how many barrels you are exporting? Do you? Daily, how many barrels we export? Do you have it? Do we have it as a nation? The fractions that all these years have been distilled and we don't get to see them come back, where has it been going to? Was it also being traded? Is it part of the arrangement that it will not come back? Has anything been said about it? At the end of the day, I will tell you this. As long as you mention crude oil, petroleum in Nigeria, there is always something that is hidden. And the only way that sector will get totally exposed is when we have other streams of income that the nation can rely on. Then there can be an attempt to overhaul that entire system. Because the rot and the damage in the system is so much, so much, that for now, something will always be happening in that sector.
Okay, all right.
Just that, like legislators, you will need eyeglass to be able to see them.
All right, speaking about that, what you said now brings us to being accountable in every sector in Nigeria. Well, CBN audit report ready soon. That's coming from the federal government, which brings me to my next, of course, topic. I'm going to read something from the Punch newspaper from earlier today. So the federal government on Monday admitted that most of the problems confronting Nigeria were caused by bad governance from the nation's leadership. My first question is, speaking it from the party angle, if you are talking about bad leadership or the nation's leadership and bad governance, basically, now APC has handed back to APC. Who are we pointing fingers at?
Well, is that a question? I don't think that should be a question. And is that a publication? Is that a breaking news? It's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. In Africa.
But we shouldn't settle down and say we want to be mediocres because it is happening in other African countries. It should be allowed in Nigeria.
Yes, Messi, but we all know that in Nigeria, in my own opinion, two basic things are the issues. Number one, a working structure. If Nigerians are able to put up a working structure at all strata, as corrupt as a leader, as weak and unwilling as a leader, that political parties always shun to us, the system will not allow those corrupt activities. That is one side, because it's systematic. In developed countries, when you gain power, you don't go there, you only go with your policies and see which of the system it fits.
It fits.
So if you do not even have That is why there's a strong scrutiny for national development in developed country. Before you can win a national election as president in developed countries, you must have workability. You must have projects that will fit into national interests. So if you do not have, you cannot even win. So there are structures that will admit those interests. What is happening in our country? Those structures are not there. Secondly,
they are there. They are analog.
They are analog.
Still running analog. All our institutional structures are still analog.
Secondly, political parties are not taking their time to understand that they need to develop a country, not a political party. What is happening in Nigeria is that they want to develop the political parties. Which of these political parties will be in power? Not who should we field to restore our country. So in 2023, this is the first time an election was well spread, had a good spread. We saw a Yoruba man, we saw an Hausa man, we saw an Igbo man. Nigerians were given the platform to choose. What the empire did about it is what I don't want to discuss here. But today, we have a president. Now, as articulate and matured as our president is in politics, as fatherly as he is in our nation, someone described the president as the last of his kinds in the political history of Nigeria. If you look at the president, you will understand that he is the last person in his cadre that has survived to this moment. It implies that he understands what Nigeria is. It implies that he knows the news and crannies of this country. He understands the problem. If this man cannot sincerely take a look at putting spared what do you call square pegs in square holes, it then means that it will cause us more problem. We need a character like the former president Obasanjo that stood and saw Nigeria as his own, as saw Nigeria as an entity that must grow, because they have antecedents. They were in the war, they were front fighters, they understood where Nigeria is coming from. In the political dispensations thus far, the present president understands the democratical position as against economic growth of the country. Nigerians are watching keenly. That is why, like he said, they will always react when once it is retrogressing. A lot of expectations from this government. So we must have truthful government. We must have government that will have confidence in. Like he also pointed out, there are some confidence areas the president has laid his feet. And I see through his eyes is the sincerity to move this country forward. But he must be firm. That is what we call true leadership. That's what we call unbiased leadership. Until we have that will. Obasanjo did a lot. And with due respect, I have not seen any government that has beat the Obasanjo's government.
So speaking of truthful government, I'm going to pick from your word and then push it to Gideon.
Yeah.
He said truthful government, and now looking at the challenges and proposed solutions for Nigerian this thing, the first thing to address would be probably the previous administration, and of course vet some of these people. But then you would agree with me that because maybe it's from APC to APC, they cannot divulge much of what has happened in the past administration, because of course it's the same party handing over to another party. Could it be said to be part of what is the major problem we have right now in Nigeria? Because I mean, it took them how many months to actually say they want to audit the CBN itself?
Well, I will tell you this. When he was talking, I interjected and said, we are still running analog. All our institutions as a country are still analog. They are not digital. None is on auto run. Okay? That is why a president can come, okay, and after a few months, they will remove the party chairman. It is expected by constitution that that party chairman should have a tenure. He's supposed to stay in office, right? But he has been removed, another person has been placed there. Okay? And then the opposition party. Let me say the first opposition, because now at least we have two. The first opposition party that we should be seen playing the duty of a conscience to keep these
People in
people
check.
in check.
Yeah.
Even before these people came into government, they suspended their own chairman. And then the second opposition party, what did we have? They took their side to court and they are dragging who is chairman and who is not chairman. So we don't even have institutions. We only have individuals who are institutions.
Yeah.
And so what you will see are self-centric ideas being postulated. Okay? If it is a system, if it's an institution that is on auto-run, whether you are there or you are not there, it will work.
Exactly.
Okay? Without you, there is a procedure for contracts being awarded.
Awarded, that's correct.
Okay? Even if you are not in the office, there is a provision for who can sign on your behalf. But we have people-centric government. And that is what we have had all through in Nigeria. Okay. We were shouting when the former general was there. He said, I didn't want to go into you said because they saw war. That one too saw war. So what happened? Okay, although they said they shot him on time. So maybe he didn't see the part of Obasanjo them saw. That's why it took us back 40 years.
Yeah.
But this man, our current president, he saw our political evolution.
He was part of it.
He was part of it.
Yeah.
He was involved in it. He has been a legislator. He has been a governor. He is now the president. I see the zeal in his eyes. Okay? But I can see through him that he's battling with a lot inside. If and only if he can throw away his face and allow the system to function. Regardless of party. Whoever has tampered with Nigerian resources should return them.
But do you think that's something we even see, apart from this present administration, apart from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do you think that is something we should look forward to in any Nigerian government?
Exactly.
We should.
It is.
Is it
It is
possible?
the first stage of even trying to regain the confidence of the masses.
Yes.
Okay, he is APC. He has now come and say, the reports I have from my ministers I've appointed.
Yeah.
So ministry, so ministry.
Yes.
I want to meet with the ministers. Now, because it is your party, you are not starting using ICPC and EFCC to chase them. It's
Yes.
okay.
Damn.
Even in law, there is provision for alternative dispute resolution. Let us assume it's one of your ADR processes. You want to meet with all former ministers of the last administration. You sit with them and you tell them, hey, in your ministry, this is it. In your ministry, this is it. Okay, I'm expecting that X percentage of this will be brought back to the coffers. Quietly, they will do it. We will have something to use to take off as a buffer, okay? EFCC has been working. EFCC, you have seized X properties. For social cases that have been won, these properties should be put out.
Exactly.
The money should be returned to the coffers. Judiciary, you have been in possession of X amount of money. They are talking of what FIRS is bringing and as IGR. They are not telling us what judiciary is bringing as IGR. And we know we spend money there. Receipted money.
Exactly.
Every sector should wake up. He is going to be the stimulant for that happening. He will have to stimulate it by himself. It is what he has to do. And by the next time he goes for any global conference, we need investors, yes, but he should tell them that Nigerians are suffering. Because we need support right now more than we need investors.
We need support.
It is people who are alive that will support investments when they come.
All right, that's a powerful one. I mean, it's left everyone speechless in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this because he mentioned about judiciary, of course, bringing in money to the government. And now I can't but ignore that and not talk about the Supreme Court that got bunched yesterday morning. And don't you think this is going to be one step backwards for the Supreme Court now that every party is saying, oh, the IGP should actually lay emphasis on it, and then they want the public to actually see what is going on as regards that.
Okay, I'll just talk a little and allow my comrades to finish that, because if I want to talk, I'll be too emotional about it. Okay. But I want to remind you that the Nigerian judiciary have told us over and over that they have evolved, okay? They've told us that because of this fire incidents in their buildings, we agree that some of their infrastructures are dilapidated and all of that, but not, at least not the Supreme Court, because it's by the road we used to pass and see it. So it's not one of those dilapidated ones, okay? So we want to believe that their e-library system is functional.
So nothing happened to the papers that were submitted?
I agree that it's functional, because for every court judgment in recent times, the soft copies are everywhere. Online. So we believe that their e-library system is functional, okay? And we believe that they have ICT experts there, okay, that have clouds where these things also are being forwarded to. So that in case the computer where it's stored gets burnt, they can get it from the cloud. Nigerians will not tolerate to hear that any document concerning any case is missing. Okay, they will not take it.
Okay, let me quickly add. Fire outbreak is a natural occurrence. It can happen, God forbid, as we're even seated here. But Nigerians smelt a rat yesterday. The $1 million question is, why now? Of course, if not, there's nothing wrong that a CBN building has got fire. Nothing too big a news. But the issue is, speculators, people that were present at the scene yesterday, are also insinuating, saying that the manner the outbreak came, the manner people wanted it to actually happen to an irredeemable point was also alarming. So people began to smell rats. Normally, like you rightly said, the Supreme Court is situated very close to where any assistance can be rendered as swift as possible. It's not in Yaya, it's not in Duse, it's not in an hidden place where you say there are several obstructions getting to the building. But people testified yesterday that it looked like a stage-managed project. However, this fantastic project has happened. I want to key in that Nigerians should be rest assured. The government in power also want justice. Because what the Supreme Court will do to Nigerians is to set a precedent out of all these issues that are happening. Whether you like the present president, whether you want Peter Obi to come, whether you want Atiku to come, we are talking about Nigeria and setting the records straight. If that must be done, we are also sure that the Supreme Court has positioned itself where no document is missing. After all, they do not have any new case. In the little knowledge I have about law, they do not have any new case they are judging. If those documents in this fantastic project as bond, I think that they will still have other copies with the tribunals they can bring. I think any other new document that have been added.
I like the way we're finding solutions for them.
So it shouldn't be a tension situation. We sympathize with the Supreme Court, the judiciary for that. But I think that their house are in order. They've not come out to make any statement. Okay, they did. I think they've also assured Nigerians that there's no cause for alarm. It is just a mere fire case, and the building is still intact. They are going to do renovation as fast as they can to ensure that in the next 2 months, judgment will come out to the satisfactory knowledge of Nigerians. To me, judgment is saying what is right. I'm not pathetic about any candidate. My own is, how do we move Nigerian forward, even with the least child as president in this country? Thank you very much.
All right. Do you agree with what you said on the final note?
I will say this on a final note. When they are done, the process of awarding the contract for the renovation of that Supreme Court should be transparent. The ones that have been doing, we didn't understand. This one should be transparent.
Not them putting billions of naira into renovation,
let's
right?
see transparently. However,
sorry, before you go, my only problem is that the judiciary is not well constituted. I'm scared. I think we're supposed to have about 21 or so judges in the Supreme.
Judges in the
Presently, we have about 10 or 11, I think. But till a time that we are looking at a very critical issue that is in the borders of the nation's affair, the judiciary is not constituted. It calls for alarm. Instead of the judiciary buildings to burn, they should critically sit down in their houses and ensure that these, I don't think who does,
and it's not even just
whose
the
duty,
judiciary.
whose duties, I think the
NJC,
bar,
yeah,
NJC, should please ensure that it is complete before they go into those very critical judgments.
I will just say this. I think, let me hold brief for Mr. President. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to go into that so that it doesn't look as if he wants to,
tamper with justice.
So we are okay with it, but we expect that as soon as this judgment comes out, that should be done and done fairly. Not one-sided, done fairly. Very important. However, for this, we want to believe the judiciary. But Nigerians will not believe the judiciary because of the issues surrounding the tribunal judgment, okay?
Now, don't you think emotions are a little bit attached to
one
way or the other?
I agree with it, I agree with it, but when you trash out the entirety of points from everybody, we are very educated as Nigerians, so you understand what I mean. However, we want to believe that the Supreme Court will not be like INEC. That when they tell you good morning, you have to check your time. INEC said we will upload the results. Later INEC said we had glitches.
And it wasn't mandatory.
That there will be no glitches on the voice of the judges.
Judges that day.
On that day.
All right, thank you very much, Gideon Obande, and of course, Comrade Duke Alamboy. It's been an insightful one. Even I, as the presenter, I've learned one or two from them today. It would be nice to have the both of you again on the same program, and hopefully you guys don't have opposing analysis this time around. All right, thank you very much, our viewers at home, for staying tuned with us on the Polity today. This is where we draw the curtains for today. I remain Mesty Babajide. See you same time, same station tomorrow. Bye.